Captain Marvel. As comic book fans, of course, we're excited for the upcoming Captain Marvel movie, but we also have some reservations. The movie hasn't even come out yet, and Captain Marvel is already being heralded as the most powerful superhero in the entirety of the MCU. Infinity War was a great movie for many reasons, and one of them was that we got to see so many beloved characters we have spent years getting to know. So why is Captain Marvel all of a sudden gonna swoop into the battle and save the day? Well, one theory suggests she might be needed in the MCU for something besides her considerable firepower. Many fans believe this will be the final Marvel movie for actor Chris Evans, who plays the part of Captain America. Sure, in the comic books, other characters, including Bucky Barnes and Falcon, go by Captain America, but the MCU versions of these characters are quite different than in the comics. Captain America is more than a guy with a shield. He represents a certain moral code and a strict adherence to his values. This is the aspect of his character we don't think the MCU could function without, and it might be just what Captain Marvel is going to bring to the table.
I wish I could verbalize how special Warren Wolf is. He's one of the few musicians I've met in the last decade who just has me incredibly excited beyond anything I could ever communicate. You know, his talent is so far off the radar screen. I mean, he's a fantastic vibraphonist. He has these incredibly quick ears. Nothing is too far of a learning curve for him. I've seen him play some of the most difficult music with like one go round, and then he's got it. You know, he's internalized it. He doesn't really need to look at the music anymore. He's hungry. He wants to be out there playing with the best musicians possible. Everything that you want in a musician, he has that times 20. And he plays piano, he plays drums, he's a multi-instrumentalist. But even more than that, what makes all of his musical qualities so great is the fact that he's such a beautiful person.
Sam Raimi references. It's almost impossible to ignore the original Sam Raimi Spider-Man trilogy when making any new versions. These movies, whether you love them or hate them, made a huge mark in the superhero movie genre and really kicked things off for our pal Peter Parker. You can't argue that they started strong too, as the first movie was a massive hit and remains one to this day. And Spider-Man Into the Spider-Verse does an amazing job of paying homage to this super famous trilogy through the blonde version of Spider-Man who appears in the movie. They even considered casting Tobey Maguire as one of the older versions. And while the roles went to Jake Johnson and Chris Pine, they made sure to give Tobey his due. When the opening Spidey, voiced by Chris Pine, relays his over a decade-long history as the web-slinging hero, they throw in some perfect nods to Tobey Maguire's turn in the role. We see him using his webs to slow down a speeding train, like Tobey famously did in Spider-Man 2, and having his date with Mary Jane rudely interrupted by a car crashing through the side of the restaurant. We also get the upside-down kiss heard round the world, and perhaps best of all, the too good to be true dance moves from Spider-Man 3.
With one I am uncomfortable, I am just right for two. and I am too large for 3. What am I?
I lost my little girl. I lost my daughter. You can't do this. No. Oh, no. Oh, mercy. Mercy.
Boss.
Pepsi. If you are on the lookout for hidden meanings, then sometimes one thing can have a range of different meanings if you know where and how to look. One great example is the Pepsi logo. For instance, if you flip it over, it looks like "is dead," which has led to Pepsi being asked on some parts of the internet to see if something survived an accident. Or it could actually be a variety of smiling and not smiling faces. Or otherwise, it just might be an overweight man who is struggling to fit into his clothes. But whichever way you look at it, it can mean something, even if that might not be what the company intended.
From Edward R. Murrow to Chuck Scarborough, you think your mic's cut, but you gotta be sure though. Banter is weak and your tosses are limp. Everyone knows you are Chang's a pimp.
I called my grandson. The entertainment reporter looks just like him. Talking about the new movie with George Clooney and Mickey Rooney. There are too many channels on my cable box. Meet me at the senior center after the 6 p.m. news on Fox. I got the Apple Mac box if you got the crack rocks and black cocks.
The banter is weak and your tosses are limp. Everyone knows you are Chang's a pimp. Ernie and Nasta got a ghetto blaster. Sue Simmons, a sexy women's.